Hello everyone. If you love gardening and if you love plants, then you've come to the right place, because today I want to speak to you about a little passion project which I have, which include pelargoniums. And in today's video, I'm going to talk you through how to care for them and how to really just give them their best conditions in which to grow, so that you are guaranteed to have flowering, beautiful plants the whole year through. Now, I grew up with pelargoniums because, for those of you that don't know, they're actually native to my home country, South Africa. And I used to think of them as being ordinary plants that are just way too abundant, really, to care. But then I moved to the UK and I really noticed that people absolutely love them. They love them for their scented leaves, they love them for their flowers, and I guess they just love them for the big variety and the many species that you find. And this inspired me to give them a go myself and to really try and appreciate them from a different point of view, because growing up with them, I just really thought they were ordinary plants. But it wasn't until I realized that they are sought after and loved as much as they are in the UK that I thought, well, there must be something special about them. There exists a bit of confusion around their names. They all used to be called geraniums, and that was relevant and correct until a good number of years ago, before they got separated into two different genera. And so geraniums are more your sort of temperate herbaceous plants that die right down in winter and regrow in the warmer months, in spring especially, and they can withstand a lot of cold and frost. Whereas pelargoniums are more sort of subtropical, warm-loving plants that can survive a little bit of frost, but probably not. Best to bring them indoors and to put them on a sunny windowsill and to keep them there for the duration of winter before being able to move them out into the hot blazing summer sun at that time of the year. One of my favorite aspects about pelargoniums is the fact that they are so easy to propagate from cuttings. Just at the right time of the year, normally when they're in their growing phase. So spring and summer, really a good time for that. Cut a piece of stem, put it straight into some compost or even a bit of water, and they will root rather readily and easily. And before you know it, you'll have multiples, and it can become a bit of an obsession. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting close. And so today I won't show you how to propagate them, but I will just show you how to repot them, and then we'll cover them with a bit of gravel and make them look absolutely spick and span for the approaching springtime. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to transplant this one, which has been in this pot in the same compost for a good number of months now. It's time to give it a bit of fresh food, fresh nutrients, and more opportunities to grow healthier and happier in the approaching warmer months. Right, so taking it out, you can see it has good roots all the way through, but I must admit this compost does seem a bit dry and on the sort of yeah, needing fresh life side of things. So I'm just going to tease a few of the roots apart and to remove any sort of dead bits, dry bits. Those can be actually cut out later, so this should do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a mix of multi-purpose compost with a bit of John Innes, just to give it that sort of stability. And we have to ensure very good drainage so that the roots don't sit in any form of moisture. So here I'm just going to rather informally just mix a bit of a compost mix, so containing John Innes, containing multi-purpose, and a handful of grit as well, just to give it that extra drainage. Here you go. Now, pelargoniums quite enjoy a free draining open compost, but with a good amount of nutrients as well. So the multi-purpose should provide that. The John Innes should provide the sort of more stability, the slightly more permanent compost that it might want. And I can add more grit to this just to ensure really good drainage overall. And if you do have a bit of slow release fertilizer, feel free to add that in. I might quickly grab a handful and just work it into the compost, because I am going to want to leave this plant in this pot for the duration of the growing season. So in grows a sprinkling of fertilizer. I'm not being too scientific or too careful about it. Of course, always best to rather underfeed than overfeed. Here I'm including a 5 to 6 month slow release or controlled release to be more accurate about it. Mix it in, and this should be absolutely 100% for this plant. So always good to put a crock at the bottom of the pot just to ensure good drainage. Add some of this in there, just at the bottom. Place the plant back. Probably loosen a lot more of this old compost up. Really just getting rid of this sort of tired, depleted compost. Exposing those roots and breaking a few of them will also just stimulate fresh root growth. Into the pot it goes, ensuring that it's at about the same height as it was in its original pot, and then backfilling with some of this lovely fresh compost. And there's always such a sense of joy and hope at repotting and giving it new compost to really establish well and give it its best opportunity to flower and grow as well as it possibly can in the time that it has to before the winter cold sets in again. There you go. That looks good. And then the last thing I want to do is just top dress with a handful of grit, horticultural gravel or grit, and that really just ties things down and really rounds things off. And this also prevents the stems and the bottommost leaves sitting in wet compost, which often can result in plant loss or at least a bit of damage. And so when you're watering as well, or when the plants sit outside in the rain, there's no splashback. And so it just really rounds it off beautifully. And there you have it, a newly potted Pelargonium. I always feel so confident when I repot one of these Pelargoniums because they are just so easy to grow. They really just do their own thing, provided that they get enough direct light and enough warmth and not too much water, but water when they need it, because they also do show you when they want water. So they really just take care of themselves, to be honest. And so this sort of pot, which is a terracotta pot, really, really works very well for them. Firstly, because it looks really good. It sort of is something I tend to see when I go to the Mediterranean for a holiday or anything, but also because it is porous, it just allows those roots to breathe a lot more and not to sit too wet. And this is something this plant likes because in its natural habitat, it won't always get water, but it would rather go a little bit dry and then sort of rejuvenate itself when it does get a bit of rain or water at any given moment. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let me know if you have found them to be as easy and robust as I have hopefully conveyed them to be. Or perhaps if you have any issues with them, let me know and we can try and sort those issues out together. I would also really love if you considered subscribing to my YouTube channel, where I have loads more videos like this, where we talk about plants and techniques and where I can just take you all on this journey of gardening and talking about these lovely living green things. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.